Hello world, this is what a family-owned Japanese ryokan is like. My family is in Northern Ibaraki, which is 2 hours northeast of Tokyo. The purpose of our visit is to relax at a traditional Japanese inn, a ryokan, that has tennen onsen, or in other words, natural hot springs. This is something that many Japanese families do for a relaxing weekend getaway.
はい、Toshimaya Tsukihama No Yu 営業部長の渡辺と申します。よろしくお願いします。この旅館には歴史が古くありまして、今113年ほど続いている屋号としてやっています。今の社長で5代目で、今6代目に移り変わるところです。
While Watanabe-san is the sales manager, he's actually just one of the many family members who run the ryokan. Here's his Oni-san, his older brother, to explain a bit about the family business.
こちらが今の、社長とおかみさんですね。で、こちらがその前の代。私にしてみればおじいさんとおばあさんになります。で、おばあさんはもう亡くなりましたけども、おじいさんはまだ生きてて、今年で99歳になりました。
99歳。
99歳。まだ自分で歩いてます。
As I looked over the footage, I realized that there were 5 family members that served us during our stay. There was the little brother,
こちら右側でございます。
the older brother,
どこ見ればいいですか？ここ見ればいいんですか？
his wife,
失礼いたします。
the mother,
失礼いたします。
and then the father.
もともとはそういうふうな旗小屋をやってて、それからいろいろ変わって、タバコ屋だったり、あとは専売品とか、実はねコンビニエンスストアっていうのをやってたんです。昭和40年代ですか。温泉っていうのは昭和6年に出て、当時のあれはこんな感じ。
もともと日本はお風呂に使ってゆっくり時間を過ごすという文化がありまして、で温泉はですねやはり大きなお風呂に足をゆっくり長く伸ばしてですね、ゆっくり入るというのがやはりその疲れを癒すための一つの手段としてですね昔からありまして、日本人は温泉イコール旅行の目的っていうようなイメージでいる方が多いので、私ももちろん好きですし、お客様方も温泉を入りに来たんですって方がやはり多くいらっしゃいます。
The thing is, Japanese people don't make a special trip just to take a soak in an onsen for an hour. Rather, it's the onsen experience that they're after. Unless you've been to one, it can be a bit hard to explain. Essentially, a ryokan is a hotel where everything is taken care of for you. When you enter a room, it comes with some little snacks and you're meant to sit down and enjoy them with some fresh green tea. Then you'd enjoy the nice view outside the window. And once you're done enjoying the view, you'd ask the staff to close the shoji. And because you're making a video, you'd get her to do it again. And then again with a different angle. And then again. And then one last time, just to be sure. After all that hard work watching someone else work, you need to relax and enjoy the onsen. After that, you'd sit down and enjoy a fancy multi-course meal.
Welcome to Toshimaya Tsukihama No Yu ありがとうございます。失礼します。ヒラメは北茨城にたくさん取れるお魚でございます。今日のお刺身でございます。地元に大津港と枚方港と市内に2つの港がございます。
Behind the scenes, of course, there are people working on your behalf. In the kitchen, it's bustling, but at the table, everything is serene. Okay, there you go, good. Yeah. Shaking it. Good. Well, it's smoking up my thing. This is not a bad thing. But back in the kitchen, and I quote Rihanna, it's work, 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 work. Once dinner is over, you'll find that your room has been transformed into your sleeping quarters. All the futons that were nicely tucked away in the cupboards are now laid on the ground, ready for bedtime. But since this is a ryokan, you'll probably be inclined to take another onsen. And of course, as you're relaxing, there's someone, or even some things, working behind the scenes on your behalf. You see, while it's natural hot spring water that gets pumped up right outside the onsen, it actually goes through a number of processes before it flows out into the baths. The first thing that happens is it gets stored in this tank outside. While this hot spring gets pumped at 200 liters per minute, the holding tank provides extra storage of water. The water coming out of the ground is actually 16.9 degrees Celsius, so they have to heat it up. There's an automatic temperature control system used to get the water to the desired temperature. If you've ever visited an onsen, you might have noticed that they have these little sample jars collecting water. That's because even though it's a natural hot spring, for the shared baths they actually are legally obliged to add chlorine to the water and test that water every hour. This surprised me because I had never smelled the chlorine in Japanese hot springs, and it made me think, what are the chlorine levels in hot tubs where I'm from in Canada? What I found out was that in British Columbia, Canada, hot tubs should have a free available chlorine level of 3 to 5 parts per million and a maximum temperature of 40 degrees Celsius. This is in contrast to Japanese onsens, which have a minimum level of 1 part per million, and I don't think I've ever heard of a maximum temperature. But I've been in ones where the gauge has hit 43 or 44 degrees. The reason I think I don't detect the chlorine as much at Japanese onsens is because everyone cleans themselves with soap before entering, and they are naked. What you might also notice at the onsen is that a lot of water splashes out of the tub when you get in. I'd always thought this drained away, but no, it all gets collected and processed in a room like this. This is the hair catcher, which, as you guessed, catches all the hair. While this is nothing much to look at, this is a rock and sand filtration system. Once the water is cleaned, it gets put back into circulation at the right temperature, of course. And actually, if you're taking an onsen, it's not just a bath in hot water. You need to have certain content in your water to be a certified onsen. I should also mention that while the original water is pure, a certain amount of tap water is added to the mix. If you look at the official certificate of inspection that every onsen will have, it'll clearly tell you what the water contains, what data was inspected, its healing properties, and how the water is processed, so you'll always know what you're getting. This wasn't always the case, but after a few high-profile incidents, new laws were put in place. Now, the Ryokan we stayed at was a nicer one, thanks to Ibaraki Prefecture for sponsoring this trip, so we had an onsen right in our room. What I didn't realize was that this water coming out of the tap was in fact the best water in the house. Yeah, that whole room that recirculates and filters the water, there's nothing like that happening here. Besides being heated up, this is straight out of the pump. There's no tap water mixed in, and any water that overflows goes down the drain. So if you want the purest onsen experience, Oni-san told us to bathe in our private bathing room. Because genders are separated and tattoos aren't allowed at most onsens in Japan, the private room is where you can bathe any way you like in the comfort of your own room. While this onsen has big public baths, as well as private in-room baths, they also have kazokoburo, which translates into family baths. Guests can book these for 50 minutes and have a bath with their family or significant other.
当館の方でも宿泊の方々がどこから来たんですかとか、どういった目的で来たんですかとか、そういったお話を楽しんでいる姿をですね、よく私もお客様から聞いておりまして、コミュニケーションの場として、大きなお風呂に入ってゆっくりと語らうというのが非常に日本人は好きで楽しんでいただいてます。
When you wake up in the morning, it's probably time for another bath again. By taking baths at different times of the day, you can enjoy the different skylines that come with it. After your morning bath, you'll have worked up an appetite, and at a ryokan, a scrumptious breakfast will be waiting for you.
And then you mix it. Kind of hard to mix though.
Yeah. While I didn't catch it on this day, the baths get completely drained twice a week. And while you're packing up to leave, the onsens are being scrubbed, cleaned, and meticulously inspected. I had always thought that ryokans were expensive, but knowing how much effort goes in, where a place like this has one staff for every 2 guests, I can better appreciate how ryokans are the destination rather than a stop along the way.
ただそのおじいさんとおばあさんがやってた時っていうのはもうここの6号国道を通る、ね、トラックの運転手さんだったからそれから必ずここ寄ってってね24時間のドライブインやってたんです昔は。それが大体この頃ですよ、この頃。おじいさんとおばあさんは寝ないで働いてたみたいですね。私も小学校ぐらいの時までおじいさんがおばあさん働いてるのを見てましたけど、朝から晩までですよ。私長男なんですね。で私はもうこの磯ばあちゃんってもう亡くなっちゃったね、このおばあちゃんにもうちっちゃい時からあんたはここの後継ぎだからねってずっと洗脳されてたわけですよ。だから自分もそのつもりになっちゃうわけですよ。だから今もやっぱり自分の息子にはお前はな大きくなったらなパパと一緒に仕事するんだぞってもうずっと言ってます。
And I think you know what we say all the time. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye. What's a family weekend getaway like where you're from?